Hello everyone, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. I'm filming from the car today. I haven't done a car video for a while. And in this one, we're going to be talking about, does the narcissist ever think about you after you're gone? And I know that's a question that a lot of you have on your minds, because we're not talking about when they do a quick little discard and then they come back with a hoover. I'm talking about when they completely cut you off, or you leave them and then they don't contact you anymore, and it's been weeks, months, and you don't hear from them. And that's when a lot of you will begin to wonder, does the narcissist ever think about me? And the answer is really quite simple. If you were dealing with a true narcissist, I can tell you that no, they are not thinking about you. And it really doesn't matter how great of a supply you were to them. It doesn't matter what you did for them. It doesn't matter how much money you spent. It doesn't matter what trips you took them on. All of that is irrelevant, because people are just objects to narcissists, and you're all replaceable, expendable. They look at it like they can just get another you. They can get someone else to do everything that you did for them. And in fact, they think they can find better. They think the grass is greener on the other side. And they're never satisfied or content with anything that they have. So no, the odds are that they are not thinking about you. You are just a pit stop. You were a place for them to rest and refuel before they then continued along their journey. From the beginning, they saw you as something temporary. They used you for recreational purposes, for their own amusement and enjoyment, rather than for a practical purpose. And that's how it was so easy for them to mistreat you, because they weren't considering anything about the future. They weren't considering anything long term. It was just fun for them in the moment, and that's all it was. But of course, they already knew you went down for that. They were aware of that. They knew what you wanted. Some of you think they don't know. Trust me, they are fully aware. They study you. They know exactly what you're thinking when they're with you. They know exactly what you want. And that's how they're able to replicate whatever fantasy you have. They can be whatever you want them to be. And that's how many of you get stuck, because you think you've met the one. You think you've met your soulmate, when in fact you've just met the great actor. Someone who knows how to put on a show, and they're only doing that to get what they want from you. But they never actually give you anything. It's just lies and future faking. They promise you something about a possible future with them, but they never deliver it to you. They never follow it up with action. It never comes into fruition. So they just string you along. And time goes by, and you're investing more and more of yourself, more and more of your time and energy and money into this person who doesn't even see a future with you or anyone. Because from the beginning, they just saw it as something temporary. And I know it's not what a lot of you want to hear. But this is the reality. This is the truth. The narcissist is most likely not thinking about you at all. They're too busy working on their next target. And if things didn't go too well with them, and then they moved on to someone else, then they're definitely not thinking about you. Because if they were, then they would have come back to you by now. And the more that time goes by, the more weeks and months, it should just confirm to you that they're not thinking about you at all. So that's really it. I mean, a lot of you wonder about this. And I can tell you from my own experience, I've experienced this time and time again, as you know. I've been through a lot of relationships, and I would say that the majority of them were narcissists. Now I'm 34 years old, still single, never been married. I've been through many situations where I thought it was leading to something, especially when I was in my early 20s. I mean, that's just the type of person that I've always been myself, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. I remember even when I met my first girlfriend, I was thinking about marriage with the girl that I lost my virginity to. This was back when I was 22 years old, and I was just fed a bunch of lies. With all of the girls that I met, or at least most of them, I can't say that all of them were narcissists, but with the majority of them that I met when I was in my early 20s, I mean, quite a few of them were teenagers at that time. So I could say that some of them didn't really know what they wanted anyway. But we did talk about marriage and having children, and it never happened, although I was really about it. And now, after maybe 10 years has passed, I can honestly say, I know they're not thinking about me. I know they're not. But don't get it wrong, that doesn't mean that they just move on and they live happily ever after. It doesn't work like that. Because I've seen it myself. Some of the narcissists that I was with, they manipulated me. They led me into believing that we were going to have a future, we were going to get married, have children, everything that I wanted from when I was in my early 20s. I was already ready to settle down. And they strung me along, and then they moved on to other situations. The last thing I saw, one of them was working in a supermarket. The other one ended up with a drug dealer and had an abortion. And I don't even know where they are now. I can't take responsibility for other people's situations if they choose to leave and do what they want to do. yeah, that's really how it goes. I mean, we meet these people, and from the very beginning, we're real, we're authentic, we wear our hearts on our sleeves. They know exactly what we're about. They know that we desire something long term. They let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. We're okay? All right. Yeah, it's sad. It's really messed up, but these people know exactly what you want. From the very beginning, that's why they target you. They specifically target people who desire just normal relationships, normal things. Those are the types of people they target because they know it's going to be so easy to pull you in and to get you to develop an emotional connection to them. As sick as that sounds, that's exactly what they do. And it's horrible. I know I've been through it so many times in my life, time and time again. It's like one narcissist after the next. They do the exact same thing. They know exactly what I'm about. They know that I desire something long term, a family, a relationship, marriage, which most of you who are watching this, that's what we all want. We just want something normal, something sustainable. And they just feed you a bunch of lies. They make you believe that they're about that too, but they're not. And they never were. And they know exactly what they're doing. They know that they're tricking you. And the sad thing is that many victims of this, because there's so many narcissists in this world, we can end up looking like the problem. Because just look at myself in my situation. I was ready to get married and have children when I was 22 years old. When I had my first girlfriend, the girl that I lost my virginity to, and to pretty much every girlfriend I had after that. But despite that, now I am 34 years old and I've never been married. So now when I meet someone new, it doesn't look good for me. Because now the first thing people are going to be thinking is, how are you 34 years old and you're not married? And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. Because that's what they do. They pull you in, they use you up, and then they throw you away. And I honestly believe that they take pleasure in doing that because they don't want you to be good for anyone after they're gone. They really don't. They don't want to see you moving on and being happy with anyone. That is the last thing they want to see, because that would destroy their false narrative. When they leave you, they blame you. They want to make you look like the bad person. So if you move on and things go well for you, then they just look like fools. But they're not thinking about you. They're really not. It doesn't matter what you think you had with them. You had nothing. It was an illusion. But I get it, I understand. It may have felt real for you. I get that. Just as it felt real for me. With the few long-term relationships that I had in my life, of course it felt real. And at the time, I actually thought it was going somewhere. But this is how people pretend to care about you. They pretend to have your best interests in mind. They pretend to be in your corner. They pretend to be there for you. Sometimes you just got to look and think, if they cared so much, where are they now? Where are they right now? Where are they when you're lonely? When you're feeling alone? When you're hurting? When you're confused? If they were the normal ones, if they were the good people, where are they now? That's what you have to ask yourself sometimes. And that's how you should know that you were just fed a bunch of lies. You really were. You were strung along, future faked. You were manipulated. And it's likely that they've done this to people before you, and they will do it to other people after you're gone. And they're going to keep doing it. It's a cycle that will always repeat itself. There will be the love bombing, the devaluation, the discard, and sometimes the hoovering. And sometimes we have to look at ourselves. We have to take responsibility and see that we may be in a cycle of our own as well, to where we are not vetting people properly. We're just letting people come in and they can tell us they're about this or that, but there's no evidence. How do you know that they are real? How do you know that they are really about that? That's why you need to vet them, because that's the only way that you will know. You need to observe them. Because anyone can tell you they're about something. It doesn't mean that they actually are. They have to prove it with their actions. And that's how many of us end up stuck in these dead-end relationships. We've invested so much of our time, our energy, our money for nothing, just so we can be abused and mistreated. And it's not fair, because you have to think that if these manipulators, these narcissists didn't come into your life, you could have given the best of yourself to someone else. Someone who would have valued and appreciated you. Someone who would have been there for you. for life, someone who would have always stuck by you. But instead, we ended up with people who were just there to use us because that's all they wanted to do. They weren't there for anything else. And that's why if you look back, you'll see they never invested anything into you. They limited their time with you. They were never really serious about anything. Unless it was to do with them, it was all about how they were going to benefit from the relationship. It was never about you. And it's sad because you could have had something for real with someone else. But this is the problem, because a lot of this, it comes from your childhood. It's what you learn from growing up by narcissistic parents or caretakers. So you didn't know what real love looks like or how a normal relationship should be. If you had a narcissistic parent, you will know that they never really cared about you. And you may have found yourself chasing their validation. And then you find yourself in these relationships where you're doing the exact same thing. And the narcissist has taken on that role from childhood as well. We're like opposite sides of the same coin. But yeah, to summarize this, no, no, they don't think about you after you're gone. Once some time has passed and they've moved on to their next target, you don't even cross their mind. They only needed you in the moment. Narcissists are self-absorbed and they lack empathy. They don't see you as a separate person with your own feelings and needs. They see you as an object, something that exists to serve them, an appliance that they can use, a tool. And that's really it. That's all that you will ever be to them. You're never going to be anything more than that. And I know some of you, you may have married a narcissist and had children with them. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter. Marriage, children, that doesn't change a person. They're still the same. So when there's a divorce, a separation, whatever it is, it ends the same way, unless they have no choice but to communicate with you for whatever reason. Then they're just going to move on and they're not going to be thinking about you. That's one thing that you need to know about narcissists. They're never really thinking about you anyway, even if they're with you. they're still only thinking about themselves. They're only ever thinking about themselves. Let's go outside for a minute. Asleep. Yeah, that's really it, you know. When you're dealing with a narcissist, they are never thinking about you. As I said, they don't even see you as a separate person. And as soon as you're onto them, as soon as you know what you're dealing with, well, they already know. They anticipate it. They feel it. They know that as soon as you start catching on to them, then you're not going to be thinking about them. Then you're going to care less about them. They anticipate that. And they fear it. Let me just repeat that again, because this is very important to know. Pretty much the same with every narcissist, every person who's self-absorbed. They fear it and they anticipate it. They're waiting for you to catch on, for you to figure them out. And then they already know that when you know that they're not thinking about you, and that they don't care about you, we lost the sound there. Let me just close this door. Can you hear me now? Let me know. A lot of sound issues today, sorry about that. But yes, let me just repeat that important part again. This is pretty much the same with every narcissist, every person who is self-absorbed. They anticipate it and they fear it. That when you catch on, when you start to figure them out and you realize and it clicks in your head that they are not thinking about you and that they don't care about you, they fear it and anticipate it, that at that point you're not going to be thinking about them and you're not going to care about them. And that is the last thing that they want, which is why they fear and anticipate it so much, because they need you to care. They need you to think about them. They need you to send out energy to them. It fuels them. It gives them supply. It validates the illusion, their false narrative. And once they know that you see them differently, that you pretty much don't see them as a real person anymore, because you recognize their inability to connect, and then you're not thinking about them, you don't care about them like you did before. Once they know that, then it's easy for them to move on, because they were never attached to you anyway. The whole purpose, a narcissist only wants you to attach to them. They don't care about attaching to you. It does nothing for them. And that's why they don't value relationships, marriage, having a family. It means nothing to them. It doesn't mean anything. It does nothing for them. I just want to make that clear because it's very important for you to understand. The whole point of a narcissist, the only fulfillment they get is from making people attached to them. So they just want you to watch them and observe them. They want you to think about them until the end of time, even when they're not there, because somehow it's still transmitting some kind of energy to them. Everything is energy, so that's what it's doing. And it's important to be aware of that, because you need to detach and cut the energy cords, because it's draining you, and you will notice that you begin to become more and more tired, and it will begin to affect your life. The best thing to do really is you need to match their energy towards you. However much a person cares about you, that's how much you should care about them. So be indifferent. Then you will keep your energy, and you can still feel happy and at peace with yourself. You can remain unaffected, and then you can focus on things that should be more important in your life. Because like I said, most of the time they're not thinking about you at all. How can they think about you? They don't even know you. They don't even know who you are. As I've said before, can you remember a time where you actually sat down and had a normal conversation with them, where they actually made an effort to get to know you? And that is how you should know that they are not thinking about you. Thinking about what? What is there for them to think about if they don't know anything about you? All they have is this mental snapshot they took of you when they first targeted you, and in that moment they idealized you and saw you as perfect. And then they took another mental snapshot when they realized that you were separate from them and that they couldn't be you. And then that's what you become. They devalue you. And if it becomes too much for them to bear, and they're constantly triggered and forced to reflect on themselves and what they've become, then that's when they have no choice but to discard you. They'll get rid of you. Because the entire thing, it's all a game. It's all an illusion. It's a person who the last thing they want to do is look at themselves. If you put a mirror in front of them, it's like kryptonite to a narcissist. I mean, for us, it's refreshing because we enjoy looking at ourselves and taking accountability. We want to improve and become the best version of ourselves so that we can share that with someone else, so that we can build and grow. That is the last thing a narcissist wants to do. And that is why you never hear anything about them. You never do. They never sit down and tell you anything real about themselves. And any conversations that you do have, it's just them studying you so that they can get ammo that they can later use against you, things that they can keep in their back pocket. And that's all it really is. It's a game to twist things around, because the last thing they want to do is look at themselves. The last thing they want to do is look at themselves. And that's the whole point. That is why they devalue you. That is why they ultimately discard you. Because they don't want to look at themselves. That's pretty much the only reason why. And anyone who they stay with for a long period of time, it's because they're with a fool, a doormat, someone who doesn't question or confront them, someone who doesn't hold them accountable. And they can be around people like that for a long time, or they can be with another narcissist, and then they just gang up on someone outside of the relationship, and that brings them enjoyment, that gives them supply. But that's all it really is they've got to have someone there so that they can unload. Someone who's going to take the blame so that they don't have to reflect and feel the shame. And if you're not going to do that, they'll find someone else. They're not just going to break down and suddenly self-reflect. They can't do that. That is impossible. I can tell you that is impossible for a narcissist to self-reflect for a long period of time and develop self-awareness. It's impossible. If you think that happened with someone that wasn't a narcissist, maybe it was someone who was just going through something, someone who was hurt, but there's no way that was a narcissist. If they suddenly became self-aware, they must have been aware the whole time. And that's how you should know that it will always be the same. If they're not thinking about you now, they're not going to suddenly have an epiphany and then start thinking about you and caring about you. It will remain that way for the rest of their life. However they think about you, however they feel about you, it's always going to be that way. It's never going to change regardless of the external circumstances. It doesn't matter because it has nothing to do with you. It's all about them and how they process things in their mind. And you can't do anything about that. You can't change that. It's fixed. It's maladaptive. And it will never change because there's no self-reflection, there's no accountability. And I hate to say it, but a lot of them, they do actually like it. They enjoy the dysfunctionality, the disorder. They like the way it works and how it brings them this dopamine hit, this reward, this sense of self-satisfaction, this boost to their ego. They love that. So why would they ever want to change it? But yeah, I'm just out here at this lake. Just enjoying this time without any rain. Driving around in the new BMW 318. It's a great car. It drives a bit more like an E-Class. Very smooth ride. You can see the mountains in the back there. If you've got any questions, let me know down below in the chat. I'll answer a few now. Got a bit of time. I was going to do some more exploring today, but there has been a lot of rain. Now it's quite late into the afternoon. So let me know if you have any questions. Put it in the live chat down below. You can hear the birds singing in the background. I just love nature. Hi Fly G asks, have you ever helped a narc to change? No, I haven't helped a narc to change. And as I said, I do believe that it is impossible. And that is why myself, I don't associate any close relationships with narcissists, because I know it is impossible for them to change. They're not going to suddenly have an epiphany and self-reflect and develop some level of self-awareness. That is impossible. The whole nature of the disorder is that it is maladaptive. It cannot be changed. Mandus asks, do you think a narc partner is worse or narc parents? I've had both. Definitely 100% a narcissistic parent is going to be far worse than a narcissistic partner in general. And the reason why I say that is because, as I said, it all stems from childhood. So if you find yourself being involved with a lot of narcissists, you just have to blame your narcissistic parent, because they groomed you, they programmed you from a young age to be this codependent or people pleaser, this person with no boundaries, to where anyone can just cross over and step on you, and you'll just accept it, you'll tolerate it, you won't do anything about it, you'll think that you deserve it. That's what a narcissistic parent will do to you. And then you'll find that your entire life is just full of abuse and mistreatment, where you're just being manipulated by toxic personalities, people who are deceiving you, lying, cheating, stealing from you. That all stems from having a narcissistic parent. You were programmed, groomed from birth. And of course, I understand how bad it can be with a narcissistic partner as well. But at least then, a lot of times, it's much easier to leave if you're not married or you don't have children. With a narcissistic parent, it's a lot more difficult, especially depending on your age. So yeah, my opinion is that a narcissistic parent is far worse, 100%. Ed Marie asks, is it possible to make a man talk to me again through one-on-one coaching? Yes, I am available anytime for a one-on-one coaching session. You can book through my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. So yes, I'm available anytime there. Mandu says, I've seen one try to self-reflect. They stop short. Yeah, that's very true. They do. It's, as I've said before, it's like this small window of self-reflection when they get triggered, like in a narcissistic injury. Then it's quickly followed by the rage. Or sometimes they may play the victim as well. But yeah, it's only just that small window of self-reflection. That's as much as it's going to be. It's not going to be a longer period than that. As you said there, they always stop short. They do. Okay, I'm gonna go and get something to eat now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative for you. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up down below. It will help the YouTube algorithm, and it helps to support our community, spreads the awareness and gets the message out there. And let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with this or not. Let me know your views. And please share the video, subscribe, and if you'd like to book a one-on-one with me, you can book through my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also check out my Instagram as well. It's Narc Survivor YouTube on Instagram. I have new pictures and videos of my travels on there every day. All right, thank you all for joining me, and you all have a great day.